Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So if you read the title, you will know what you're here for. Yeah, I'm doing a story time, and this is about the time that I was called illiterate at work. So stay tuned if you want to see how that went down. Basically, oh wait, before I get into the story, I hope you guys all watched my last video, and if you didn't, you're a whore, and that's my period. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. I probably shouldn't have said that. I'm just kidding. So anyway, let's get back into this story or whatever. So when I was working at Cane's, if you didn't know where this was or why I'm telling this story, you should know that I loved working at Cane's. I have nothing against Cane's. Shout out to them. I like their merch or whatever. The chicken's good, and they paid really, really good. But here's the problem. Even though that was all like good and Gucci or whatever, the customers were trash. They were complete and absolute garbage. And it's like certain people, I'm not going to call anybody's race out or anything, but there were certain people that just thought they were like more entitled than others and more privileged. And that just rubbed me the wrong way, you know? But when you work like in the fast food industry, that makes it sound like it's like something special, but it's not. You already know that like customers are terrible people, and they shouldn't be allowed to order anything anytime at any place, but yet they do. They have like a disrespect like that just rages in their heart to like make everybody around them mad. And we're not going to talk about that part right now because I could talk about that for like 33 minutes, but we're not going to do that. I'm going to tell y'all about the time a customer was rude to me. So I have been working at Cane's for I think 4 months at the time. It was either 4 or 5 months, I don't remember. But I was working, and I was still new out of everybody else that had been working there. Everybody else had only been working there for like, had already been working there for like a couple years. And there was me, like I was just like senior gang, you know. But I had only been working there for like 4 months, and there's this thing, it's called the hole, and the hole is basically the front window that you go through, like when you go through the drive-through, the person that you talk to, like to exchange money and whatnot, and like get told to go to the second window. So that's where I was working that night, and it was like it was either a Tuesday or a Wednesday because it was like the middle of the week. And I was already mad that I was there because I had school the next day, and I knew that whenever I worked, I always worked super late, and that caused me to be like hella tired the next day, and it was just like, you know, a mess. And sorry, I thought I heard something. So that day, I was working, you know, the usual or whatever. I've been taking people's orders. I had been filling up the lemonade, the sweet tea, all that good stuff. And so around like 11, I think it was 11, it was either 10 or 11, I was in the hole, like I just described, and there was a customer that came through, and this customer was like a regular, like we saw him every single day. There was no reason why he should have been eating Cane's every day, but yet he did. And I mean, nobody could really stop him. I mean, his health might, but we physically couldn't. And we're gonna call him John because John was like, at first, he was the homie. Like, that was my road dog. Like, I saw him every day. I'd be like, what's up? And he'd be like, what's up? Like, here's the change. Where's my chicken? And, like, that's that. And then we would see him the following day, you know? So when I saw him, I was, like, not thinking of it as any other day. I was just like, oh, cool. Like, what's up? And so he ordered, like, the usual. I think it was, like, a box combo. I think that's what it was. I can't remember. It was a year ago. But he ordered what he usually got, and it wasn't like, Cane's is low-key kind of expensive, not gonna lie, but we're not gonna talk about that. So he ordered, he pulled up to my window. I told him what the total was. He already knew what it was, so like we were like good, and he gave me the money, right? And so I closed the window, and I looked down at the money to put it into the cash register, but I was like counting it, and I was like, this is a whole lot of money for like what he already got. And I was like, this isn't right. So I opened the window and I turned to him and I was like, hey, are you sure? Did you mean to give me all this money? He just looked at me. He was like, yeah. And I was like, your meal's only like $7. So I'm confused as to why you gave me like 28. So I was like, okay, all right. So in my mind, the way like I thought I was like solve this is by putting away, like putting aside all the other money, like the 20, because if he gave me $28 and I only needed 7, so I would only need the 7 out of the 8, and like we would be good, you know. So I did that, and when I went to give him his change back, like I gave him back the 20, and I gave him like whatever, I think it was like 35 cents or something, I don't even remember, but it was like a small amount of change, and I gave it back to him. He told me thank you, I told him thank you, I closed the window, and I was waiting for the next order. So as I was standing there, like I was just like standing there or whatever, you know, looking at the computer, being a good Cane's employee, when he knocks on the window. This time it was like hella gentle. It was like, okay. So I opened it and I was like, yeah, what's up? And he was like, you gave me the wrong change. And I was like, oh, what do you mean? And he was like, I gave him the wrong change. And I was like, oh, how much are you missing, or how much did I give you? And he was like, you gave me this X amount and I need this amount. And I was like, okay, give me 1 second, I'm gonna get my manager and we can like get this figured out. And he was like, why do you need your manager? And I was like, because like she's in charge and I don't want to mess up the till, and like, you know, like I'm just doing the usual things that I usually do or whatever. So he was like, okay, fine. So I went and got my manager, and she came to the window and she was like, what's wrong? And I was telling her like, I think I gave her the wrong change, and I told her about how he had given me all this money or whatever. And she was like, I don't know why he would do that. And I was like, I don't either. And so as we're talking, he bangs on the window, and like I'm talking like knock knock, like he was the police or something. And we was like, sir. And so I opened the window and I was like, yes. And he was like, are y'all talking mess? Like, are y'all talking about me or whatever? And we were like, no, sir. Like, we were just trying to get you the right amount of money back. And he was like, y'all are talking about me. I can see you. Da da da. He was like, don't think I won't tell corporate. And we were like, okay, like, let's all take a deep breath here. You know, like, let's just get your change. You get your chicken. You can leave. Like, it's all good stuff. And so he was like, fine. And so I closed the window and I went back to talking to my manager, and I was like, how much change like am I supposed to give him? And she was like, oh, I see what you did, da da da. She corrected me. It was good. It was Gucci. So I gave him the right amount of change. And so as I'm opening the window, he was like, I don't know how you were hired here. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, he told me that I wasn't rising to the Cane standard and that I was illiterate and he didn't understand why I was there or who hired me, and he wanted to talk to who hired me, and that I shouldn't be allowed to handle money and this, that, and the third. And I was just like, sir, you eat here every day. I think it's getting to your brain, because you will not, I'm just kidding, you won't speak to me like that. That's that on that. And so I look at him and I'm like, excuse me? I'm like, wait a minute. And so my manager, and she was like, she hops in front of me and she was like, yo, like, take your change, go to the second window, get your food, and go. And he was like, I'm never coming back. He was like, y'all just lost a loyal customer and y'all won't ever see me again. And we were like, okay, like, all right. And he, like, as he's like sitting there, he's just yelling and he's holding up the line. And if anybody works in fast food, y'all know that when that line is held up, y'all go into the red. And if you go into the red, then you in trouble. So like, we were just looking like, sir, like, okay, we understand we lost your money. Great. Have a nice night. Like, be great in this world, you know? And so he's talking about how he spends $400 there every single month. And we were like, that's not our problem. Like, you can go. And so he was like, I'm gonna get you fired. And I was like, okay. And then he was like, this is unacceptable. This is rude. And he was like, you're illiterate. That's why you can't count. And I was like, you already called me illiterate once already. Like, don't push it. And he was like, I'm leaving. And we were like, okay, like, goodbye. And so he left. And my manager, like, I was so mad. Like, I started crying. I was like, I can't do this. Like, I'm done. And so I called my mom and she came and got me. And I was telling her, like, I just basically told y'all, like, everything that happened. And she was like, oh my God. And I was like, yeah. And so the next day, my other manager heard about it, and she was the one that like made the schedule or whatever. And so she was like, hey, do you want to come in? And I was like, no. And she was like, I understand. She was like, just take a day and you're gonna be good or whatever. Like, she was like, customers are customers. And I was like, you're right. And so I didn't get put back on the schedule for like a week. And then when I finally did, I was like too wrapped up in what's it called? I don't know what it's called now. It was an assignment for one of my classes, the senior thesis, that's what it was called. And so I was the first one to present, by the way, if y'all didn't know that. We're not going to talk about that right now. But basically, I had a lot of schoolwork to do, and I couldn't work and do my schoolwork and graduate at the same time. So I was like, one thing has to go, and it obviously can't be the schoolwork. So I ended up sending in my resignation, and I was like, hey, like, I can't work here anymore. Thank you for the opportunity. And they were like, oh yeah, da da da. But like, I'm pretty sure they all think like I can't work there anymore because I got called illiterate, and that's like a big part of it. But shout out to Canes, you know? Yeah. So that is my story time, and probably a list of reasons on why you shouldn't work in fast food. Like, I messed up working in fast food. Like, I wish I would have done something else, but here we are. So yeah, I hope you guys took something from this story and realized that people are rude for no reason, mean for no reason, and shouldn't be eating at a fast food restaurant every single day. Like, that's a problem. Like, that's an addiction. But that's none of my business. So yeah, that's the end of my story. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, comment, or whatever if you want to. I'm not gonna force you or whatever, but it would be greatly appreciated. Greatly appreciated. I don't know what other word I just said, but that's what that would be. I'll drop my socials or whatever if you are for the socials. If you're not, then it's okay. But yeah, peace out.
Peace.